What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Cali LaVeo channel. Smash that subscribe button. We need 1K followers to give you better content, right? So, once again, shout out to Talks of Thailand, short videos. This video was like 30 minutes long, so I pretty much got it to where I could speak off on the important parts. But this is about starting your life over at 62 after you've been divorced 2 or 3 times and you decide to say, screw it, I'm gonna just sell off all my assets and go to a cheaper country. I could say third world country, but people get offended by that. But why does it even matter? Because it's not like I'm lying. Not every country is top tier. Just because you go to a third world country doesn't mean you're settling for living in slums. There's a lot of nice areas in third world countries. The only problem is people have to sell their souls or be well off to live in those areas, better areas. So let's take a listen in on what happened to this, well, I'm not even going to say middle-aged person, but let's hear what he has to say.
But we can't look back and change things, no matter how hard we dream. The bars were just opening up, and some of them were still closed, but I got a beer at a place close to Beach Road. Most of the girls mustn't have been there yet, but one of them was. She said her name was Kat, with a K, and she was 31.
And by the way, Kat, Eva, what other names? Coco, those are all stripper names. Those are all industry names.
The day must have dragged on, and I must have drunk way too much, because all I remember from that time is waking up in the morning and Kat being there with me as well. I had a screaming headache, but an overall sense that I must have had a great time. From then, Kat never left my side for the rest of my holiday. It turns out, while I was drunk, and I didn't remember, I asked her to spend the rest of my holiday with me, and we already agreed everything. All I wanted to do that morning was sleep, and I was just starting to feel better by evening. We went out and started to get to know each other. She was the most incredibly beautiful girl I'd ever seen. Something about her drew me in, and I wanted to get to know everything about her. She was from Chayapum, which was a town in the northeast of Thailand, also known as Isan. I don't yet understand, or I hadn't yet understood, that 99% of foreigner and Thai relationships involve a girl from that part of Thailand. How many times have you met a girl in Thailand and she told you she was from Bangkok?
I mean, really, does it even matter? If she told you she was right there from Pattaya or Bangkok, I don't think it would have made a difference because you're going to get got regardless.
I'd guess never. We were getting to know each other and spent 4 wonderful days in Pattaya when I got a knock at my hotel door at around noon one day. I had completely forgotten that I was checking out of the hotel and going down to Phuket that day.
Bullshit.
I even forgot I had a flight booked from Bangkok at 5 p.m. When they told me I needed to check out, I remembered everything, and I told Kat that I forgot I was going to Phuket.
How many people think that he lying? I think he bullshitting. He knew when he had to go. Or was he really just so head over heels, so in love with this young girl that he just lost track of time? He forgot that he had to leave the country. He got too comfortable. Yeah, right. You didn't feel that way about when you met your first wife. I bet you didn't feel like that.
Are you going to come with me? Of course she was, so I quickly packed up, checked out of the hotel, and we ended up getting a taxi to Bangkok airport so we could get there on time and hopefully be able to buy a ticket for Kat on the same flight. Who has done that before in Thailand? You're rushing to get a flight, get to the airport just...
Is it just me or this dude? It sounds like he bragging. But why is he bragging?
on time, only to find that you went to the wrong airport. We'd arrived at Suvarnabhumi and we should have been at Don Muang and had no chance of making the flight. But we got a taxi to the other airport and managed to change my flight to a later one and get Kat on the flight as well. We ended up in Phuket around 11 p.m. and I already had a hotel booked and we got into a taxi at the airport. As soon as we got in the taxi, I already hated Phuket. I've since learned about the taxi mafia
And see, I'm learning too because, when you work in healthcare, you're going to work with a lot of people that travel all the time. These people have timeshares, all the visas, the passports, whatever, all the full yards, because they travel about 4 or 5 times a year. They could do that. These are middle-aged boomers. They've been married a long time. Their kids are grown. Their houses are paid off. So they have a lot of time to travel. But we're trying to find the hot spots now. So when it comes to Thailand, Pattaya seems to be king when it comes to wild party capital, because all the street walks. There's several videos on Pattaya just walking down the street. You have Beach Road. You have other cities like Bangkok, which is the capital. And then you have, what's the other place? Phuket. People kind of complain about Phuket and say that it's not better than Bangkok and Pattaya. Different strokes for different folks, right?
Extreme overcharging on the island of Phuket. And nearly 1,000 baht lighter, we got to the hotel later on and just crashed after a long day. The next day, we explored the island, but it wasn't as good as Pattaya. It didn't feel the same, but because I was with Kat, we still had a great time. And that was coming to the end of my holiday in Thailand. What was I going to do now? I knew I needed to go back to England to work, but that thought sent shivers down my spine. I didn't want to leave Thailand, but I knew I had to. I started thinking of early retirement, moving to Thailand and living on a small amount of money with Kat. Anything to make me think I'd be able to return to Thailand as soon as possible. We flew back to Bangkok, and I had to say goodbye to Kat. She went on a bus down to Pattaya, and I headed to the other airport to catch my flight back to England. I heard it on stories on your channel, and I've also heard it from other people I've met, but that flight on the way home to England is like you're being sent to an early grave. I didn't want to go back, but...
Yeah, I've been to England. Place is fucking depressing. I'll just be honest. The weather sucks and the food is nasty. And I can say that as an American. Not saying that I hate the UK. There's actually a lot to do in the UK, especially if you're in London. And there was a quote that's saying, any man that's tired of London is tired of life. Well, if anybody's tired of London, it's probably the food, hustle and bustle. It's just a very busy place. London gets busy. It's like New York. It's like New York, just with worse weather year round. I didn't get a chance to make it up to Liverpool and Manchester, but I heard those were better areas if you didn't really enjoy London as much.
There I was, sat on the plane, taking me further and further away from where I actually wanted to be. When I got back to England, met up with friends, they could tell I was a different person. I didn't belong there anymore. I wanted to be in Thailand, and I wanted to be with Kat.
Dude just sound goofy as hell. It's like boomers. I don't know. I just lost my faith in boomers. Especially the goofy ones like this clown right here. I mean, all these changes over one girl. And mind you, if this woman was his age, it wouldn't be nothing like this. It's all because of age.
We kept in touch all the time, and she went back to working in the bar, and I knew full well what that meant. So I asked her if she could stop working, and I can send her some money every month, and I'll arrange to come back as soon as possible. She agreed and said we would go and stay in her village in Jaipur. So I sent her 20,000 baht. I didn't know where I was going to take things from there. I just had the understanding that I needed to get back to Thailand as quickly as I could. I was on a job a few days later, and the people whose house I was fixing started having a right go at me. I was doing everything by the book, but they said I was charging too much and it should have taken me longer to do the work. After that, I decided, F it, I'm leaving England for good, and I'm going to Thailand.
He was itching to get back to his newfound love. Sweet love. I guess the desperation really pours in as you get older and you actually think that somebody half of your age is really in love with you when really it's you that's in love with her and she's not in love with you. She's in love for what you're about to do for her. That's where these boomers get it twisted at. It's like once these boomers get about 50, they just get real goofy. Like I don't even think the young passport bros in the military were this happy to be dealing with some young foreign women, because at the time, the original passport bros were young. They were like 17 and up, right? In the military, right after high school, you go to the army, which means you're not even 20. So that gives you an advantage to be around all these foreign women your age. Get what I'm saying? Versus waiting until you 50, 60. Ah, man. And mind you, these guys don't fall head over heels from their English wives like they do these Asian women, because see, these guys have been treated like shit their whole lives by women. When they go to a underprivileged country, they think that it's an advantage for them, and then they go over there just to go broke.
Contacted an estate agent that day, saying I wanted to sell my house, and they came round a day after to take pictures, and it was on the market within a few days. I sold everything else I had, including my car and the van I used for work. And when I told Kat I was going to be moving to Thailand very soon, she was really happy and said she couldn't wait to see me again.
I can't wait to see my sucker. Understand something, gentlemen. Understand something. When you're dealing with these women, not only are you going to take care of them, you're going to take care of the whole village. That means sending money home, buying washers and dryers, everything. Maybe even a few cars. You never know. You're the breadwinner for the whole family. I hope that young piece of pussy was worth it.
I didn't know where I wanted to live in Thailand. I just knew that I wanted to be there. I was very fortunate that I had an offer on my house almost straight away. It was going to take a few months for the sale to go through, but with the knowledge that it was going to sell, I went to Thailand. I had about 80 grand. When my house sale went through, I'd have another 200 grand on top, and I thought that would be enough to live the life I wanted to live in Thailand until I got my pension. When I got on the plane back to Thailand, I felt like I was returning home. I felt I was going to be where I belonged, and as soon as the plane lifted off the ground, I said goodbye to England, fully expecting to never see the place again.
I don't know. I mean, of course, when you travel, you're going to like most of the places you go to because it's different from where you're used to. I understand that part, but would you be able to feel this way if you hadn't met a certain person? You know what I mean? That's what it comes down to. So it's like, okay, what else? Do you have a lineup? See, that's the problem. It always involves a girl, right? Which is cool. It's just like, just life in general. It's like you think you're there for business, and then you end up doing other things because of one person you met, a particular person. But they tell you not to get serious with these girls over there. But then I say if you do, at least have some backups. You can have lineups out there. I mean, look what you're out there doing anyway. You're out there because you want somebody half your age, and you're not going to get that person half your age in, let's say, America unless you're a millionaire. When you go to these countries, you don't have to be a millionaire. Your American salary or your British salary alone is pretty much more than what the average person has over there. So you have advantages to have a lineup and not just falling in love and head over heels just for one girl.
Back in Thailand, Kat came to meet me at the airport. We embraced and headed to a hotel in Bangkok. The Ambassador. I wanted to stay there again. It was so good to be back in Thailand with Kat, and it was fantastic to see those parrots at the Ambassador and remember my first time in Thailand. And it seemed like things had come full circle, and I was finally happy. We went out together in Bangkok that evening, and we spent a few days just enjoying ourselves. And then I had to realise and come to terms with the fact I needed to find somewhere to live, and I needed to calm down a bit, because I wasn't there on holiday anymore. I spoke to Kat, and we were both happy and agreed it was best to move to Pattaya. That was the place I liked the most, and it was also cheaper than Bangkok. And
yeah, but that's a wild party city, though. Why would you move there? Jeez.
Closer to the beach. We rented a small condo in Jomtien. Then, a few months later, my house sale went through, and I transferred all the money to England. £280,000. When you can see over 10 million baht in your bank account in Thailand, you think that's going to last forever. And for a few good months, I spent way too much money. We went out for fancy meals, we'd go drinking every day, and on certain days, we'd just enjoy ourselves way too much.
Yeah, and see, that's the problem. You get all this money from all the assets that you sold off back in your home country, and then you move to a cheaper country and think that the money's gonna last you a long time. But keep in mind, a lot of these guys that do this dumbass shit, they have no money coming in. Like they just think that they could just live off of whatever they retired on or sold, while at the same time they have no money coming in. There's always going to be more money going out than it is coming in, even if you budget real good. So at some point, your money from your asset, that money's going to run out in like a few years. Like you're going to go broke quicker in that third world country than you would have been in your own country. So he was better off in his own country. You sold all your shit just to move overseas and go broke. And it's like have sources of income still coming in. Even though you're not working a regular job, you should still have something. You should still have some streams of income.
When I realized that after 6 months, I'd spent over 1 million baht, and I hadn't been paying close attention to what I was spending, I thought it was better to do something about it before I got carried away. It was around this time that I asked Kat to marry me, and we got married, and that led to me to be able to get a better visa to stay in Thailand. I was married now for the 3rd time, and I felt like this time was going to be the forever one. Kat was so much different to my English wives in every way, and I felt like I could finally settle down and not worry that I wasn't what my wife wanted me to be. When we married, we went up to her hometown, and I met the family. It was a quaint little place, and I knew a guy who built a house in his wife's village and moved.
All right, listen to what he just said. He knew a guy that built a house on his in-laws' village. Understand something. These guys that meet all these girls in the party areas in the red light districts, they have no connections to meet the actual legit women that are already in the village unless they're brought to the village by whatever girl they met at the bar. Have you noticed that? They're meeting these women in the same place. That's why they keep getting finessed. Okay, understand that? So, I mean, not every girl's like that. We know that. But what I'm saying is where all the legit women are that aren't sent out to work at bars and bring all the money back home that they made from expats, the best women would have been out on the countryside. But then you can't just go out in the countryside looking for women like that. They're going to be like, who the hell is you? You come up missing like that, you have to be invited back to the village. So the only way you're going to get to that village is if either you know somebody from Thailand, like let's say you know a group of type of Asian people in your own country and you went to travel with them to their own country. That's the only way you're getting into the village without meeting people in the red light districts.
Moved there, but I couldn't see myself doing that. I was good with having a small party to symbolize our marriage, and I felt like I was now part of the family. Kat even showed me around, like where she went to school and the things she used to do as a child. It was so different to what I did back in England, but it was a unique experience nonetheless. We even did a tour of the Isan region. I had not long ago bought a brand new pickup truck for 1 million baht, and this allowed us to travel Thailand when we wanted to. After exploring Isan, we went back to Pattaya and just got into normal life. Well, as normal as you can living in a place like that. Life was great. I mean, life was really great. I was in love with Kat. I was living where I wanted to live, and I felt like my life was perfect. But every time I checked the bank account, I found that I was spending so much more money than I should have been, and I just couldn't help myself. I even remember giving Kat nearly 200,000 baht so she could buy some land in her village. When you've got millions in your account, this didn't sound like a lot, but I was very foolish with money. I kind of put everything to the back of my mind, thinking, oh, I've got years left, things will be okay. But when I tried to cut back on spending when I turned 56, that's when I saw a different side of Kat. She had grown accustomed to eating out every day at nice restaurants and being given money to go and be with her friends anytime she wanted. But I knew when I saw I only had 3 million baht in my bank that I would need to put a hold on spending. It was always my intention to make the money last until I got my UK pension, and now there was no way it would last that long. But if I was careful, I should be able to get another 6 years out of the money and just worry about it later. I know that sounds very irresponsible, but that was my mentality. I'm going to worry about it later. I just wanted to live now. I even thought to myself I might not make it that long, but I had to put a hold on the necessary spending. To watch someone change from being a loving partner to a person that you feel like you don't know anymore was dreadful. I thought we were a strong couple, destined to be together forever.
Man, when that money runs low, she's gone. The love runs out. The love's only high as the money being spent.
But she was only with me for what I could give her.
Duh.
It was hard to come to terms with that. She divorced me, but only after finding another person to be with. She'd been going out by herself at night for months, and, out of the blue, she wanted to end things. I saw her not long after with her new chap. He was obviously spending more money on her. I lost my visa when Kat left, and I switched to the retirement visa, and I did everything I could to make my money last. All I wanted was for my money to last until my UK pension kicked in, but at 62, all the money had gone. Every last penny, apart from enough to buy a plane ticket to England. I flew to England 6 months ago, at the end of 2024. One of my children put me up until I could find my own place.
Did you hear that? These guys usually have kids back home, adult kids. And see, they usually rely on them when their newfound lover overseas in Thailand and Philippines and Vietnam don't work. So usually these guys don't end up homeless because they have kids and grandkids that could pretty much put them up. So
I've started working again, and at least I have a profession that can pay some money. But I literally had to start all over again at 62. I love listening to the stories on your channel, as it reminds me that I'm not the only one. And I've had such a good time writing this story, apart from the ending, as it reminds me of the time I arrived in Thailand and started to live the life I dreamt of. I don't know if I'll ever be able to go to Thailand again, other than for a holiday, but I am due a UK pension, although it's not much. I never thought I'd have to start again, but at least I had 10 years of living where I wanted to live.
well, I'll say the good outcome is at least he's from a first world country and he can actually get back on his feet. So I guess it's not all bad for him, other than losing all that money. He shouldn't have been splurging out money like that. But you live and you learn, right? This is Kai Laveo. I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.